Nitto Legends is back and better than ever. I have waited 13 years for this. The last time I played this game, I was 9 years old. And I have some good news for all the fans of the game. This is the most authentic Nitto Legends experience that has ever existed. It's even better than the old version, and I will get into why that is. If you remember anything about Nitto Legends, which it was hard for me to because I was so young, but if you just do a little bit of research, you would know that Nitto Legends was just completely horrible near the end. People who were cheating, people who were running an underground black market in the game. There was so much going on that just made the game completely unplayable. As of right now, I can say that the current experience that you can go play and download right now is genuinely better than the old Nitto Legends ever would have been because a lot of the issues that plague the game are just impossible. The first thing is the anti-cheat. Now, I don't know enough about the anti-cheat to tell you exactly how it works, but I do know it's likely going to do your basic things. It's going to check for macros. It's going to see if you're running any cheat programs like Cheat Engine. Now, there are some bans that are publicly listed, so we can kind of see or imagine what the anti-cheat would be running for. But I have been told by the developers that it is not a kernel level anti-cheat, so you don't need to worry about it like looking through your PC like Vanguard. Bracket racing, the absolute pinnacle of Nitto Legends back in the day. An experience that has not been recreated with multiple games by the same developers. A game coded over 13 years ago is still the best bracket race experience in all of PC gaming. One of the biggest parts that made Nitto Legends so special was that you had consistent cars. Now, it's probably not the most realistic to be bracket racing one-gear cars, but this has existed for a long time. It has something to do with the turbo. I really just don't know enough about it. But basically, you just launch on the tree and you basically run the same elapsed time every single time. So it's essentially just who has a better reaction time and who doesn't foul and who doesn't break out of their dial-in kind of race. And there are some things worthy of note regarding the consistency, and it does have to do with your PC. Some people get brand new PCs just to play this game, which I think is hilarious. There's a little bit of a difference between people who run AMD and run Intel. The good news is that there are two versions of the game that you can play, standard and stabilized. Stabilized seems to be more consistent for me, but I am on AMD, so I can't give you all a 100% certainty. But here's what I can say. On AMD, I can run almost the exact same perfect elapsed time every single time. And people on Intel, they might be a couple thousandths of a second off in their runs, but it's still very consistent. And obviously, these things are still being worked on and still being understood because the game only came out a couple of months ago. We've been waiting for this, and people have been trying to recreate the game from scratch for like 8 or 9 years. And there's one thing that nobody has ever done yet, and that is just bring back what old Nitto Legends was. So whatever you remember about bracket racing back in the day in Nitto Legends, it likely still applies. When Nitto Legends went down, a lot of things were lost, and a lot of those things, even in other recreations of the game, will never be able to be found. They have to be all just created again from scratch. One of those things is the parts. When the servers went down, all of the data regarding the parts was gone forever. So the only way that we will ever be able to get an accurate Nitto Legends recreation experience is if we have some of the people who are the most knowledgeable regarding this topic. I can tell you all for one thing, the bracket community in Happy's Legends is essentially exactly what it used to be. Most of the people are still the same. And I talk about this more in the culture section of the video, but you likely have people you used to know playing the game right now. And the experience, the gameplay loop is exactly the same that it was before. Except it's even better because there are no cheaters and you actually have to work for your money. There isn't an overinflated economy. But I will talk about that specifically in a different section. Other than that, if you were a bracket racer back in the day, you need to go log on right now. H2H, one of the most iconic parts of Nitto Legends. Back in the day when people were pink slipping Mazda Furies like it was nothing, it's kind of back, but I'll explain why it's not the way that it used to be. I explained at the start of the video that the economy in Nitto Legends used to be absolutely overinflated. I mean, people would literally just throw tens of millions of dollars of in-game currency away like it was nothing. And it's a lot different now. And I talk about how to make money in the tourney grinding section, which I'll get into later in the video. You can obviously just go look at the timestamps if you'd like. H2H, as of right now, is primarily about whatever is going on in the specific meta. A lot of the cars are not completely finished in H2H, and the current balance across all the cars is not finished or complete. Remember when I said all the parts are gone? So everything has to be manually adjusted. But remember, the physics are still the same. For instance, there's an engine swap update coming in a couple of days. Like I said, the game only just came out. As of right now, as of the recording of this video, the current meta is the drag spec Camaro and the Ford Beast. Those cars are about 230K, which you could get in a night of grinding. And also the Mazda Furai is also just as good as those cars. But as of right now, the other cars like the Mazda M6 are just a little bit too slow for it to be competitive. Sure, you can buy them and you could bracket race them if you really wanted to. But when we're talking about H2H Koths or actual like proper H2H, the fastest cars right now are the Camaro, the Beast, and the Furai, with the Furai being $1 million, which I'll get into how much money that would cost and how long that would take if you were farming it in the grinding section of the video. But I've been really enjoying H2H. When I was a kid, I couldn't afford all this stuff. I was just a kid racing a little 17066 Scion TC that I found off the auction house. And for Christmas, my parents gave me a points package where I bought a Mazda M6. Those were the only two cars that I had. As of right now, H2H is very skill-based because the actual driving aspect is very dependent on where you shift. It's very challenging, and it's something that some players in the game have gotten into and said, you know what, I'm going to stick with bracket. Now, the H2H community in 2026 is definitely smaller than the bracket community. I mean, like almost at all times, you'll always be able to find an online bracket race at literally any time of day. Like there's something like 500 accounts right now in the game, and there are people joining every single day. And more people will get into H2H as they get richer. But I mean, like, it's just like how it used to be back in the day. You could go and be competitive in bracket online with basically the starter car with a $10,000 worth of upgrades. An H2H car is a serious commitment, not to mention it's also very challenging to get right. So because of that, the community is smaller, but I still find racing for it every single day. I love my rich friends who take me everywhere. Imagine this. You and your boys used to race on the team rival strip back in the early 2010s and late 2000s. Now, in 2026, your old team can still exist, just like how it used to. Now, there is a lot of team rivalry as of right now on Happy's Nitto Legends, and I won't get into it specifically because by the time you're likely watching this video, the team landscape is probably completely different, so there's no reason to even talk about it because we're in this for the long run. Everybody who's playing the game, they're thinking about, well, what's going to happen next year? What's going to happen the year after that? What is the game going to be like? When it comes to the culture behind the game, a lot of people remember the hustler culture. That's the best way that I like to describe how Nitto Legends used to be. I can tell you all that those very people who used to be like that still exist and are still like that. They just don't have the malicious ways that they used to work. You still have people having beef because somebody pink slipped them their car and they lost. You still have people getting their bank accounts in the game absolutely bankrupted and drained through cash bracket racing. And don't get me wrong, the toxicity still can be there at some points. That was just how the game used to be. And it's very surprising that a lot of people who maybe they were in their 20s back then, now they're in their 30s and 40s. Maybe they're like me and they were 10 years old, now they're in their 20s. The people really haven't changed that much. Things like the rivalries between the English speakers, the Spanish speakers, the Portuguese speakers, and many people of other Latin countries are still there. I don't really see too much Europeans in the game or Australians. It's typically Americans, Spanish speakers, or Portuguese speakers. And there are rivalries between these communities, of course, and they all kind of exist within their own subspaces. Don't think just because you don't speak English or you don't speak Spanish that you aren't going to have a place in the community. The culture is as vibrant as ever, even though it's a lot smaller than it used to be. But that's why people like me are making content around 1320 Legends right now. The community is the same. Don't get me wrong. But the only difference is that those very people who ruined the game before, whether it was with cheating, whether it was with insider information and accounts, whether it was through literally just hacking the game or just taking people's money by cheating on the tree or whatever, that can't happen anymore because of the measures that have been put in place by the development team. So the game, like I said at the start of the video, is literally better than ever because the issues that plagued the game and caused it to shut down no longer exist anymore. And because of the anti-cheat, we have the most legitimate, skill-based Nitto Legends there ever has been. You could have told me this like a year or two ago, and I would say, you're fucking lying. You're dreaming. There's no way. Well, I'm not going to gatekeep it to anybody. If you want to play and you want to take part in the culture, then go and join and go and play and go find your place in the culture. You can join at discord.gg/Nitto Legends or use the link in the description. Tourneys, a feature which, if you were somebody who ran the underground black market back in the day or paid to win, you likely have no idea really how it works because it was only for us poor people. Now, tourneys against AI are very simple. You're bracket racing and there are 3 levels: amateur, sport, and pro, with pro being the hardest and sport being a pretty easy way to make money and amateur being for absolute complete noobs. Now, there has been a lot of controversy in the community. Would you be surprised? The only way to make money, because there are no point packages and the economy isn't overinflated, that people have been having to grind the tourneys. Now, there are really only 2 tourneys that matter, and that is the sport and the pro. Now, as of the recording of this video, literally like probably tomorrow, it's going to change. You could get a 0.6 reaction time, which if you don't know, 0.500 is perfect reaction time. And you can hit your dial in and you will win every single sport tourney that there is. Now, you make about $2,500 per tournament, and it takes about 6 minutes to do a tournament, but I'll talk a little bit about 1320 brain rot here in a little bit. But basically, if you want to do pro, you're going to get rewarded better, but it's very challenging. I can't consistently win every single pro tournament. You need to get a 0.52 reaction time and have a perfect ET dial-in every single run. If you get a 0.53, you're at risk for losing that. Now, the rewards are as follows. When you win a sport tournament, you get about $2,500 in cash and you get 10 points. When you win a pro tournament, you get about $5K and you get 40 points. Now, I will talk a little bit about the tourney nerfs and 1320 brain rot, but really something that I really have to just make super clear is that when you create a way for people to have to grind to get things, it makes it so these cars have value, and it makes it so things like cash racing are actually meaningful. If you cash race someone for $5K, that is 1 pro tournament worth of cash, or it could be 2 sport tournaments worth of cash. That's 10 minutes of grinding in 1 race. Now, 1320 brain rot is something that I have to discuss here. A big thing is that you cannot transfer points between accounts. You can transfer cash between accounts, whether it's through the Teams feature or it's through, I don't know, you could even race yourself if you really want to. I don't think that's allowed. But 1320 brain rot is the idea that of using multiple accounts and multiple instances of Nitto at once to farm tourneys. If you're doing pro tourneys, you got to lock in. You can't be switching tabs every 5 seconds. You got to make sure that you are locked in on the tree so you can get that good reaction time every time. But sport tourneys are a little different. although you make about half, due to the way that sport tourneys work and the animations between tournaments and between races, you can play multiple instances at the same time, and it is more financially worth it because there's going to be times where you're waiting. You could be racing on another account. I'll go ahead and give all the sauce here because that's the whole purpose of this video. You need to get yourself a top full dragster, which is $20,000 of in-game currency. You're going to have to grind until you get that, which that's like what? 8 tournaments, 8 times 6 minutes. I mean, that's maybe an hour per account that you need that for. Once you get that, you're going to always have a dial-in that is less than the AI. Back in the day, there used to be a bunch of different AI cars in the tournaments. That doesn't exist right now. All of the cars have the same dial-in, and they're using the Tegi, I think, and it's about 14 seconds. So if you have a dial-in less than 14 seconds, or vice versa, if you have a dial-in more than 14 seconds, you're making the tourneys longer. And if you use that dragster, which is the cheapest, easy-to-buy bracket car in the game, it's literally like 5 pro tourneys worth of points. You can race on 2 accounts at the same time, and you're always racing. So in that same 6 minutes that it would take to complete 1 tournament, you could actually complete 2 tournaments on 2 accounts. And it is because of this that it has to be harder. You can't just watch a movie while you're racing and grinding. It's not really something that I like. I call it 1320 brain rot. And clearly the developers see that that either needs to be changed by making it less effective financially or by making the gameplay harder. And it seems like they're going in that direction. So I wouldn't be surprised if you actually kind of have to focus when you're grinding sport tourneys on 2 accounts. I think you can have up to 4 accounts. Don't quote me on that, but I wouldn't make more than 2 or 3 because it's just not effective at that point in terms of the grinding and the farming. When it comes to the grinding, it definitely has a controversial topics around it, around the inflated economy and paying for points. People like me and the developers agree that it's just not a very fun gameplay experience to be grinding the game while you're watching a movie and you're not even really trying. It really defeats the whole purpose of what the game really is about. It shouldn't be whoever has the best cars is the one who grinded while watching movies. It should be about somebody who's skilled and put time in to grind for what they want. If you are really good, you could win pro tournament every time, and you're going to get the car that you want probably in a night. Now, I did say that I was going to tell you all how long it takes you to get specific cars. For me, when I bought the drag spec Camaro, which was about $230K, it took me 6 hours of grinding using the 2 accounts method. Basically, if you wanted a Mazda Furai, which is $1 million, you would need to grind for 24 hours. And if you wanted to buy some of the tournament cars, you would need to grind for 240 hours. But obviously, that's why they're tournament cars. Because back in the day, only people who won that tournament were the ones who got the cars. So yeah, the grinding, you might like it, you might hate it. If you hate it, go get 1 bracket car and race only that bracket car for your entire time on the game. If that's really what you want to do, there are a lot of people who are super high street credit from 1 car and they've never got another car in their whole time playing the game. And it will continue to be like that.
Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
All right, well, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed, leave a like so it can hit the YouTube algorithm for all the fellow Nitto 1320 Legends players. Join us. Come play with us. If you've watched this video all the point until this point, what are you waiting for? The experience that you've waited for me more than half of my life for is finally back. I can tell you I am enjoying Happy's Legends more than I have honestly ever enjoyed any other video game. And that's just straight up. So I have to just say a massive thank you to the development team, genuinely. So come join the Discord, discord.gg/Nitto Legends. I can tell you one thing, this is what I missed, like 100%. So I'm just doing my place in the community. If you guys would like to see more commentary videos around Nitto Legends, let me know in the comment section. And yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all later.